Okay, cool. Laser pointer, everything. All right. So this class is going to be about building out drone programs. I always don't like the way that they title this class because it makes it seem like I'm going to show you a whole bunch of sexy drone shots of what you should do with your rural system. And as much as I would love to do that for you guys, the fact of the matter is that you need to understand the parameters and the legalities of being able to launch one of these things in your guys' area. So this is one of the reasons why I get invited back every year, because I know a lot of systems are starting to think about the idea of implementing drones into their operations. And while these things could do amazing things in the aspect of data collection and producing 3D photogrammetry imagery, bathymetrics, or orthomosaics, understanding the parameters of your program, or the starting building blocks of your programs can be paramount. So today we'll be talking about building out those programs and some of the key considerations that all of you should start thinking about in the event that this is the direction you guys want to go. So this is typically an admin level course that I offer at my school. I'm not selling any programs to you guys. I don't gatekeep information. So if any of you guys have questions afterwards, you guys want to grab my cards, don't feel as though you're going to get a sales pitch if you guys come up and ask. I'm about disseminating information because I feel that the more knowledge you guys have before you launch, the safer our skies are, and the less laws the FAA has to needs to create to make it harder for all its commercial pilots to fly. So that being said, this class specifically is for all you administrative staff that are in the key decision-making positions that are going to be able to say yes or no to these programs. For all you who are kind of the front men, the ones that are on the front line, kind of doing the hard work, and my front ladies as well. This is a good bit of information that you take back to your management staff, and let them know before we make this decision. Here are some of the key considerations. So I'm excited that you guys all joining in here. This is always a fun class. I want you guys asking a ton of questions. If I call on you, I'm not picking on you. I just don't like you, and I'm trying to embarrass you for everyone. But this is like an array of the drones. Each one has different sensors. Each one has a different job. Each one is meant to do a particular task in a particular way. So the reason why I love to bring all of them out there is because it's important that you guys see the different types of drones there are. But we'll get into drone choices for the applications you're trying to put them for in a little bit. But feel free to look at them, think about any of the questions you guys have, and we'll move forward. Again, this is an admin level 1 class. We're going to evaluate use case for your business needs, cost-benefit analysis, or ROI, before investing in your payload. Establishing standard operating guidelines for your organization or procedures if your bosses are that much of a hard ass. And then creating a robust training program for your pilots. Now, who am I? What is it about? Like, why am I here? Well, to introduce myself, guys, I am I even forgot to update this. This week, actually today, I got promoted. I'm the chief pilot for True North. Before that, I was a pilot operations and training specialist. So I came up with all the training programs and I conducted the classes, but now as chief pilot, I oversee the entire operation for True North. True North is a public construction solutions company. We deal with data construction management, turnkey services, all the way from start to finish. If we go out there and fly and build out orthomosaic, so construction managers can do create CDs with them and get accurate 2 centimeter level data, then we go out there and fly those. All the way to doing the last end of it, where we're getting a 3D photogrammetric image, which is a 1:1 copy of all the equipment on there, and it's a 3D model that the engineers get to play around and show their clients and make them look really good. So that's what I do for my 9 to 5. I'm also the former drone coordinator for Orlando County Fire. I proudly had taught 30 of those hose drivers how to get their Part 107's license. If none of you guys know what a Part 107 license is, it is an actual pilot's license that you have to get from the FAA. It's a tested, it's a test where you get a license that requires recertification every 2 years. This allows me to fly drones up to 55 pounds for commercial purposes. I'll go over some of that in a little bit. I'm a certified master pilot. I've been through tons and tons and tons of drone courses and programs. Cut my teeth in a variety of different styles and aspects. This number also needs to be updated. I'm close to hitting 3,000 flight hours, and that's both in first response operations and commercial applications. I've flown windmills, cell towers, just a litmus of a variety of buildings, and then of course, as a coordinator, I also flew the fire operations doing aerial recon, extended scene chronicling, and I got to interface with law enforcement, Department of Homeland Security, as well as a lot of the search and rescue programs and companies out here in New Mexico. 14 CFR Part 107 UAS FAA license holder, I just showed you guys that. I'm a former elite instructor for Drone U. Drone U is one of the most nationally recognized schools in the country. They interface with FDNY, National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration, a lot of other large federal agencies to help develop their drone programs. When I worked with them, I actually got to go up to Juneau, Alaska, and work with that organization to build out the drone program, as well as doing a really cool thing where we were teaching them how to do subject tracking so they could follow whales and get aerial recon data off them. So I've been around, and I have 15 years within the film production industry. Why does that matter? Well, if you guys have seen any movie in the last 5 years, most of those aerial shots are going to be flown with the drone. It's not necessarily one of the drones that you guys see here. There's other drones out there. There's the DJI Inspire, and then we have our Axios. Those are like the 6-prop ones that hold well over 100 kilograms. They hold the really big cameras and get those big sexy shots rather than these tiny sensors. I mean, imagine going to a blockbuster movie and you're watching something that was filmed off a potato, right? Okay, so let's get into the meat and potatoes. It feels so we know each other. We're closer now. We're friends, right? We're friends? Yeah, let's do that. I think we're friends now. We'll go around eventually and get all of this. Right, so now we're considering drones, right? It's a new sexy tech. It's now at a price point that our organization can afford, or we're dealing with discretionary spending. We have about 10K that we just need to throw somewhere. But before we do any of that, really the most important thing that we have to look at is evaluating use cases for businesses' needs, because it's a critical step in harnessing the full potential of drone technology within an organization. This process involves a collaborative discussion among administrative staff and operations personnel to identify specific scenarios where drone assets can enhance operations, streamline processes, and achieve strategic objectives. What the heck does that mean? Because I wrote that on the biggest dummy high ever. It means that the people that we're handing our drones to, we buy them, and now we hand them off. Is he supposed to know what he's doing? I mean, he has kids and he bought a $25 Walmart drone and he told us that he flew. You actually shake your head, yes. Something that happened, right? But that's the story I hear a lot when I interface with these organizations. The fact of the matter is that the person most tangentially related to being a drone pilot, because their kids flew it, or they watch a lot of videos on TikTok, right? That's our new guy. Where's the youngest one on our team? They have to be interested. They play video games all the time. That is not going to translate. We have to involve them, because before we get rope him in, I'm picking on you. I'm totally picking on you.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
It ended up upside down on my neighbor's roof.
Well, then you'll feel better, because this guy right here is, with everything, all the bells and whistles, can be close to a $60,000 drone package. Oh. And now, because of discretionary spending, we just handed that off to our would-be pilot. Let me explain something to you guys, because I know I'm totally interrupting your view. These batteries, that drone requires 2 of these. They're about $500 each. So that means without any sensors or anything else, it's $1,000 just to get that guy off the ground. So we need to be decisive and selective, and we want to make sure that the personnel that we're handing these off to are confident and comfortable and capable of being able to handle a responsibility like flying an asset this large and this expensive. Because we're not even talking about the monetary issues that we have to deal with when a drone crashes. But what happens when someone's all like, oh, good drone, and now they're missing half their hand? I've seen some of these drones spool up, and believe me, there's videos out there where something this big drone is spooling this, like as fast as it can, will take off an ankle, because they're just walking right by it. with no due regard. So we have to make sure that whoever admins that we're bringing into the fold as our pilots are prepared and excited and want to learn more about that. So yes, so for all those admin that are in here, bring in your frontliners. Get a temperature test. Find out if it's even something that they can use. So this is me on a site. I'm sure most of you guys know Quinn Cox. I've known him for a very, very, very long time. And working with him, we actually went out and we did a couple of surveys. But, you know, most of the time when we're sending drones out, or the idea of talking with drones and rural water systems is, man, I can't get up that road. How many of you guys are locked out because of weather and snow or the hills or landlord? Yeah, thank you for the 2 hands that are participating. Wake up, everyone, come on. But, you know, so we're snowed out and we can't get up any further yet. Drones are absolutely something that is applicable to ensuring we get the data that we need. Because those systems need checked. You know, we're not going to get that tactile build, but getting some aerial recon, getting some data, putting together like comprehensive operational objectives while that drone is in the air, so that we make sure that we collect all those assets. No one likes to go back to a system that is 2 hours away because they forgot an asset or drone or equipment or anything else on there, right? So again, that's where we include our frontliners, right? Do they want to carry another piece of equipment? Do you want to have another container? Where's the big one? That big one right there is for this guy. I'm sure you guys' truck is already pretty full. Let me go grab it for the camera. So, that's one more piece of tech that you're going to be asking your workers to be carrying in their trucks. And they're already going to be inundated with the equipment that they're already taking on if something actually needs to happen. Let's see. Again, road's washed out. That's the picture that I took. That's my Land Rover right there. His name is the Boulder. Yeah, oh, he's stacked. I love him. I just swapped out the engine on him. Got 207,000 miles of the original engine, just put a new one in it. I was looking at the new Defenders and I'm like, why am I going to drop all that money? But yeah, this is analog. I meant to bring, but on one of these mountains, the electrical system, the wire basically fried itself through in half. And I had to hitchhike to a nap like an hour and a half away. My cop who just happened just to be going by, out of uniform, so I was trusting until he told me he was a police officer. That's Napa. They had none of the real parts. I mean, a Land Rover, a 26-year-old Land Rover. Of course, they don't have any of the parts there. But I pretty much need like a thick enough piece of wire copper together that was going to work with it. It was just really funny because the cop's like, I hope you know what you're doing because I don't know how to turn a wrench whatsoever. He's like, I'm going to be no help to you. Which was fine, but I deal with that all the time, but that's why I love cars where it's a screwdriver and a wrench and it's a little bit of duct tape and, you know, Robitussin usually gets it going. This is the top of a tower that Quinn and I went out to, right? We're looking at some of these caps, right? That's an important piece of equipment that we have to have digital photography, or some sort of imagery of. We have to make sure that the cover is locked, the ladder's in good working order. Really, that's kind of the phrase that we need to know, is are things in good working order? Can a drone do that with a camera? Like just with a simple camera on it, right? Yeah, absolutely. No worse than the person who's like up there with one leg in between the rungs and sitting there taking the picture. I hear some lefties, so that means some of you have probably done that. But now they're real. Do we need something this large? Right now we go back to the little guy that we were making fun of earlier. Yeah, we're not going to be watching a blockbuster movie on it, but would you feel more comfortable flying this guy? No. No? Or yes? Yeah, much more, right? Feel free to pass these guys around, because I want you guys to get some hands on this stuff. It's not big at all. Well, both of these film in 4K. Okay, good. We got another pilot here. Awesome. Right? So those are, again, we're going back to considerations and stuff that's making us think. Right? What are the use cases? What are we trying to accomplish here? What is the overall goal? Are we looking to do non-destructive testing with that? Those drones exist for $180,000. So can you just fly every site and do that and make it worth it? Maybe. I don't know what you guys' budget is, but It's a possibility. So, I don't know if it's going to play, but this, yeah. So this should be in orbit. Oops. Let's see if we can get it to play. Come on, do it for me. All right. So this right here is more about how we're talking about low acuity capture. Okay? It doesn't take much to do a aerial 360. And when I was talking with him, one of the most important things is like, what do we do with the drones in the air? What are some of the assets that you need? Well, now, not only do we have a full 360 of this in a very aerial view, right? We're getting all, we got tops and bottoms and middles and everything in between. Well, if you think about it, just like any photo would work in cataloging what the condition of this is, but now we have a timestamp on that drone, on that time, on that date to see what everything looked like around there. So when we go back to these systems and we see a little bit of dirt that looks a little fresh because gophers decided to kind of roost underneath it, or we see graffiti off on the side, right? Now we have this, we have a more comprehensive way of cataloging this to get all that necessary information. Because, I mean, if you guys have been out there with a camera, do you guys really want to be sorting through a camera roll that's 145 pictures long? And now you're swiping and swiping and swiping, right? A quick video is something that just makes it easy. Drones can do that. Drones can also make 3D photogrammetric imagery. Now this was part of our flight. It didn't work very well because Quentin was flying it. I was teaching him how to do some stuff. But, hold on, let's see what happened. I don't know if I'm going to be able to really manipulate it. Nope, I'm not. But it's a 3D image. You can sit there, rotate it, get measurements, and do a variety of cool things with it. PowerPoint is picky. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Usually I forgot to bring the tablet today so you guys can kind of play with it. But effectively, we could zoom in, we could drop a ruler, we could get dimensions, we could look if there's any kind of deficits whatsoever. Really cool system, really cool program to play with. And then also, one thing that probably comes to everyone's mind is the clear thermal capabilities of the drone. Now this picture right here was taken of a system that was leaking and those pipes from underground. Which is really cool, right? I mean, we look for wet spots or pooling water when we're trying to discover whether or not there is ultimately a problem. But a drone like this, it has a high-end sensor like the H30, which this is a DJI M350, this is an H20 sensor, but the H30 sensor is that much better. We get to really figure out what temperature differentials we're running into. Do you have any thermographers in the room at all? No? Well, that's important. Because it's not, I mean, a clear camera or a thermal camera is only showing temperature differential. So it's relative to this location at this time, at that angle, at that height. So thermographers would know that they could pull apart that information and be a little bit more specific as to what they're seeing. So if you're going to launch something that has thermal capabilities, again, while it's a great idea, are the people you're handing it to, are they thermographers? Could they interpret that accordingly? Are they going chasing after false positives? All those are, again, considerations. Speaking of Quentin Cox, everyone say hi, Quentin.
She already talked about me. Her drone or something.
Oh yeah, I haven't told you yet. So I told you guys how he was flying. He crashed this one. He did.
Survived.
Yeah, well, I did survive actually. I was like, Quentin, you have the stick. And he's like, okay. And then 3 seconds later, I'm here beeping all over the place, and it just went into a tree.
I have no comment.
Yeah. I gave them the prop. All my, whenever I have students, whenever they crash, during our classes, I'll take the props off, and that's your reminder. So I still have mine. The first drone that I clipped, it broke the blade. I still had it in my bunker at the fire station. I kept it with me, all this time. So, but it's it's not to be demeaning. It's just to remind us that this technology is fragile. It has a purpose built. We got to respect it. I know this text is kind of small. I'll read it for you guys because this is kind of where we're at. But during this evaluation, right, we're going to look at team considerations. I've been talking about a couple of them. Actually, you know what? Before I read these, again, I want to interact with you guys. So anyone who's even thinking about drones, I'll just point at you. What do you think you could do with a drone in your line of work?
Water runs, videos.
Okay, broken water ones.
I don't have anything. I just love them.
You just love them. All right, what about you? What could you use a drone for in your work?
Oh, I don't know, not so far. It's fine.
All right, good. I want you to think about it, and if you come up with something, let me know. What you got?
I would like to use them for finding missing and murdered individuals with them.
Yeah, they do use them a lot in search and rescue. I know you and I've had conversations about that before. Yep. What about you two kids right there?
I actually use them to find mushrooms in the ground.
Okay. Any particular kind, or should we stop this conversation?
To find water leaks.
Yes. Yeah.
Drone.
Yeah. They're very good at doing that. Absolutely.
They narrow it down to a 3-foot area.
It's very tactile, especially as you, even making a heat map thereafter, the Northam is a heat map is also very beneficial because then you get to see how the entire system's looking at a very tall angle, or tall view. All right, you, please, nothing that's going to get you taken off YouTube with TikTok.
When we're doing a design, someone installed a new home, but the aerial imagery under maps maybe doesn't have that home, would help with the design.
Absolutely. Did you read here for that big dust devil?
No.
No? Okay, so I'll just find you later, I'll show you the video. But for those who saw the big dust devil, I got in to do like hero shots for construction companies whenever they're like finishing a particular point in their project. And I was flying that day, the most ginormous dust devil came by. But it is a very useful tool in construction because they'll use them for progress capture just to find out how the progress is going. So they'll send out pilots once a week or every 2 weeks to go out there and see what differences have been happening. What about you gentlemen in the back? What do you guys think?
Actually, we use one for photogrammetry on a work power plant. And we use it for landfill inspection and survey.
Okay. Have you guys looked into doing any of the DT stuff with the drones?
I don't think so.
So do you guys do, I'm sure you guys do NTT work some capacity on the...
Our plant is shut down, so.
Oh, okay.
So we're basically just a landfill.
Okay, all right. Anyone out here in the back? What you got?
Can you search for deer elk?
Not legally. Not legally. You can observe them as long as
That's what I mean.
Yeah, you can observe them as long as it's in an airspace that's not restricted. It's Forest Service airspace. Well, so yeah, absolutely. The FAA is absolutely cracking down. They actually have a task force that they started off very recently in the last couple of months, where they will pull the remote IDs for each one of these drones, and they'll find out who they're linked to. So even if they don't pop up on the site, you're going to get something in the mail. Yeah, so they're starting to crack down on it because there's, again, like I said, I'd like people to fly better and legally so that they have less reasons to crack down on the people who are doing it commercially.
If you have drones that fly by your house or whatever, and I think I talked to you yesterday about certification of now that.
So the question was, can you shoot the drones down if they're in your backyard? And the short answer to that is no, you cannot.
It's not airspace.
I'm sorry?
It's not, they don't own airspace above their.
Yeah, that's correct.
Depend how high it is?
No, not whatsoever. An inch above a blade of grass is considered airspace.
It would be like shooting someone on the sidewalk.
Well, it'd be like shooting someone in a helicopter. The best analog that I could possibly give is like, as police and law enforcement or hobbyists fly over the public domain, as does a drone. Even if they're, one of the things that we start talking about is with privacy. Now, if a drone's just kind of hung around and just doing its thing, and it's not purposely looking in your window or down in your yard or kind of messing around in that area, it's free to kind of roam about the airspace. But, if I come over here, and I'm looking at this handsome gentleman over here and just getting some good shots, and Well, now I'm definitely in his bubble, and he has a lawsuit that he wrote towards the pilots. So there's direct and indirect actions that are going to make that different. But no, there's no circumstance at which you can take your 45, which I'm sure you have multiple, and just pull it out. Go Sammy Sam out of the sky. So, so when the drone is in the air, right? Because there's no man or person manning this at all, and that's what makes it a UAV, or unmanned aerial vehicle. Well, the second that I'm involved in this system is now a small it's an SUAS, it's a small unmanned aircraft system. If anyone in the public interrupts that system, that could be a felony charge on that person. That includes me as a pilot. So even though I'm taking pictures of Handsome Man over here, if he sees me down the road, he comes and tackles me to the ground. He's just interrupted that system. Now, obviously, all those details are going to get litigated in court. What was I doing over there? But he's interrupted an aircraft. And as small and large as these get, the Federal Aviation Administration still considers these aircraft. They have tail numbers. Let's see, this guy right here, right? I'll you know this really
There's
somewhere.
there's a sticker on this one.
Is there? Is it a bunch of numbers?
FA3.
Yep, so this has a wing number just like any biplane or helicopter. So yeah, they take it seriously. Do we have any in the back, any drone ideas for the work you do? My gentleman over there with the cool beard right there, staring right at me.
Can't really think of any, really.
Yeah, construction right there. What do you do for a living, if I may ask?
I'm a utilities operator.
A studies operator?
Utilities operator.
Utilities operator. Okay, so do you work in the field for any reason?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
And they have a college where colleges fly these things in competition.
Oh yeah, well they're starting to move in high school. I believe China's doing an aerial soccer league, which is really awesome. I haven't seen the specifics on that, but I'm kind of excited. I got more calling. Yeah, let's see, remember I'm busy today. That's okay. Yeah, so you have a variety of different purposes. I'll think about something like you say you work out in the field, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so do you ever have to do inspections, or do you have to do 360s? Do you have to verify like everything's where it's supposed to be?
Just some kind of inspection.
Sure, right? You gotta look around, right? So something feels a little off or shady, or doors open, or gates wide open, right? If we don't want to risk ourselves, what could we risk? Drone, right? For security, right? Did you get a comment?
Our well site
Uh-huh.
is downhill over across up mountains, and you don't always get down to it. So it'd be nice just to be able to go and check on it every now and then. I mean, that's my defense, but we've also got a full photovoltaic field there. It'd be kind of nice to know what's going on with that.
Yeah.
Because the school buses go by all the time.
Absolutely. Yeah, that aerial recon sometimes just matters, right? Let's throw this guy over there. If they throw a couple of rocks, guaranteed they're going to hit it for the first place. But two, like, I'd rather this get shot at than me. I mean, has anyone ever, like, realistically speaking, right? Anyone ever felt unsafe, kind of went into an area where it just seems off, right? If it seems off, right? This little guy, send him up, right? That's, again, use case. So we could always think outside the box. But kind of case in point, right? When I said bring in the frontliners, what did we just do right now? We just sourced the group for ideas of how we want to implement this into our operations. That's why it's so important, because you can have the smartest, brightest in that C-suite, but sometimes they're not thinking about some of the everyday tasks that can be alleviated utilizing a drone. So again, I think that's very important. So we'll start delving into this during this evaluation. Okay. Key considerations, right? Enhancing operations. Assessing how a particular operation can be optimized or improved through the integration of drone technology. We've talked about that. Aerial recon, videos, timestamps. This includes identifying tasks can be performed more effectively, safely, or cost-effectively with drones. Aerial recon for security. We just got that feeling in our jellies. You know, just send it up. What is it going to hurt? Personnel readiness. Determining if the organization has personnel willing and able to operate drones, as well as identifying your needs to ensure proficiency in drone piloting and compliance with relevant regulations. All right, so I'm adamant. I've come to my senses. I'm not going to send him with a $60,000 drone package. I instead am going to opt for the $1,000 one that gets great photos, good flight time, and a lot of nanny controls that are going to make sure that he doesn't bump into anything and that drone stays around for a while. Okay? Does he still have flight?
We don't know.
No.
He's young, of course he does.
Yeah, he's played Call of Duty. Do you play Call of Duty? Right, okay. So we have to make sure there's a training program in line with whatever we're trying to have accomplish. Do we just want him to fly around, do some circles, grab some photos? Yeah, of course. It seems pretty easy. Do some recurrent training every year just to make sure that his eyes are still facing the same way, and then send him on his way, right? Who said photogrammetry earlier? You gentlemen, right? It's kind of a different beast. To do photogrammetric imagery, you have to have a flight profile that's covering all aspects of your subject that you're capturing. And then, if you do automated flight paths, or you guys hand fly?
Would you automate it? You said that.
A Stanley 5x5, you know what you use? Or do you just push a button and then it goes and does it?
We set up a controller, you know, bring in the image, set up the controller, set it up how the flight pattern we want it to do, and then when we get out there, we just set it up, sure everything's ready to go. We get on top of landfill and we're set to go.
Okay.
It takes about 11,000 pictures.
Okay. Yeah, so it's a natural 3D model, or is it the down look of a flat kind of picture?
I'm trying to think what you're trying to ask.
So is it a 3D model? That
Yeah, it's a 3D model.
Okay.
The 3D model, and it takes pictures, it takes 3 of them.
So you do a smart oblique.
Yes.
Yes. So smart oblique flight paths are pretty cool. You basically make a polygon of the area that you're doing. You tell it to do smart oblique. And then if you ever look at the controller, it's going to make you dizzy. Because it takes a picture here, here, and down. Here, here, and down. So you see this constant flipping back and forth. And it does it nadir at 0 degrees, or negative 90 degrees, and it does at 45 degrees both ways. A really cool system. You can make really simple 3D models. That's really cool use of that drone. Absolutely. But, right, that's a little bit more wherewithal with systems, the controller, and you at least have to have the understanding of what buttons I'm pushing. So you don't do a whole lot of manual flying. There's still a little bit more training with the software.
Yeah.
All right, and then understanding limitations. Recognizing the limitations of small unmanned aircraft systems include compliance with Part 107 rules and regulations, as well as understanding the capabilities and limitations of the drone itself. It's howling. It's going 25 miles an hour out there. Which one of these would you guys send out?
The biggest.
The biggest?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, are we all in with biggest? I'm asking that question. Those guys are all like, hey, I don't know. Which one? Will we go with this?
Small one.
This little dude? This little dude. I like the murders. Everyone's thinking. Right? Okay. Big, like, right. So we don't know. Right? So we have to identify the wind ratings for each one of these drones and find out if I'm in a consistently windy area, is this drone going to serve me for whatever purpose we're setting it out to? So wind rating is absolutely the most important thing. For everyone to know, this guy right here has the best wind rating out of all the drones. This is by far my favorite drone to fly. It basically has everything that you need in one package. I love the size, it feels comfortable in the air. And it has also a laser rangefinder in addition to a thermal camera on top of it. Sensor could, it has a mechanical zoom up to 200 times. And I have taken shots of line of sights. Does anyone do line of sights here, like with manual cameras? You? So I've done line of sights up to 18 miles away with that one. With this guy, I've maxed out at 24 miles. And then with the better sensor, I get a 26-mile line of sight. You would be surprised at how like, you're not going to see crystal clear things, but you will be surprised of what you could actually identify with those drones. So line of sight, we probably need to talk a little bit later because there is definitely some use cases with these guys. And I mean, this is a hero. Every time. If I had a choice and it's nothing over 20 miles, I'm taking that guy. But now we're starting to think about other applications, stuff we didn't think was a thing. So, the police typically will use the Avata or the Neo. They're an all-encompassing process. So they have these solid, fully fixed props on there, and they'll use them to make entry into buildings. They'll either shoot out some windows or anything that's open, or they'll kick down the door and they'll send in drone first. And you'll see some trooper over there with VR goggles on, flying like this. So it's pretty interesting. You'll see a lot of them. Some of the departments that had more money in their discretionary spending, you'll see them with this guy, completely unnecessary. You'll see them with this guy with the thermal version. This has a mechanical shutter. Did you guys fly the M3?
M3, what do you mean?
The DJI, what kind of drone?
That's DJI, Mavic 3.
This guy should look pretty similar. Yeah. Right? So they'll have, so it just depends. Again, it's sensor dependent on the kind of work that they're trying to do. But that M3 or the M30, this guy right here is always going to do. I'm not selling these, by the way, I was like a salesman. But again, I think it's important that everyone sees the different sensors that are out there. Safety and risk management, right? This is more key considerations. Prioritizing safety and risk management considerations, such as airspace restrictions, environmental factors, and potential hazards associated with the drones. Okay, wind is a thing that's going to take a drone out, whether you're the best pilot or not. That once that wind is blowing hard enough to overcome the capabilities of those props, you're going to lose the drone. It's going to get carried away, and you're going to be chasing it down a mountain to go find it. And sometimes it lets up, and you get back control of that, and hopefully it's in one piece. And legal and regulatory compliances. We got to make sure that everyone's obtaining the necessary permits, licenses, and approvals. So it's not just the drone license. We have airspace that we have to deal with, right? So, I mean, when I was talking about you could legally fly an inch above big grass in Class G airspace up to 400 feet. What happens when it's Class B airspace and you're right there next to the airport and you have government officials? No, you're locked down. And from there, if your tower or your water tower system where you're inspecting happens to be there, does that mean we're shut out? No. We can get airspace operations that allows us to look at flight capabilities based off of whatever the FAA and the Air Traffic Control Management have deemed appropriate for you to fly. So it doesn't mean that you're locked out, but having that knowledge allows you to continue those operations, which is very important because if we're looking to invest money in that, we want to make sure that it serves the entire process, not just some of it. And at least understanding how to obtain those regulatory approvals. Now, by engaging in a comprehensive evaluation of use cases tailored to an organization, specific business needs, stakeholders can effectively leverage drone technology to drive innovation, improve operational efficiency, and achieve strategic objectives. Establish your operational objectives first after you guys are done with that think tank, and then figure out what drone you want. From there, you can move forward with the process. Now, we have a cost-benefit analysis with selecting your SUAS. I think this was that 6 prop that I was talking about. So are you picking up puppies, that are stranded on top of a mountain and bring them home to little Timmy? I mean, probably not. But we're not going to be looking at anything limited from those drones anyway. But if we need to do heavy carrying, right? Road wash that will be an equipment over there. Yeah, maybe a 6 prop, 100 kilogram carrying drone could come in handy to start carrying some of that stuff up there. Just depends on how bad it is. But anyone who does post-disaster relief or assessment, this is something where a heavy lift drone can come in handy when roads are completely gone. And that's usually when we're dealing with foot patrol and horses. And then when you're selecting a small unmanned aerial vehicle for your drone program, it's essential to conduct a thorough cost-benefits analysis. Is it worth it? That's it. That's all this slide is really talking about. Is it worth it? What we got?
You can rent some of these out too, like.
You can, yeah, you could absolutely can. There's clear sensors for all those who do bathymetrics or like to do recreation of soil erosion and stuff. Those sensors are pretty cost prohibitive. So, I mean, if you've already dumped X amount of thousands of dollars into this, now you're asking the organization to spend another 12 grand on it. You could usually rent them for $1,500 maybe for like a month.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely. Good question. Now, too often, organizations are tempted to purchase the most expensive drone available, be equipped with features that may exceed their operational needs, or require specialized training they do not possess. Okay, I think I've hammered this ad nauseum at this point in time, but if your organization is not going to be utilizing the sensors on this, there's no need for it. If you need simple aerial recon, I think we still got this guy over here. We just do simple aerial recon. I assume everyone got hands-on with little guys. Okay, they're going to do just fine, right? It's not a pissing contest with the organization that has one of these. It's smart business. It's smart business. Yeah, it's pretty good. Key factors to consider with this: we want to understand the drone's capabilities. Do we need FLIR? Do we need line of sight? Do we need a laser rangefinder? Do we just need regular aerial recon? And then initial cost of drones, right? Let's see. So this guy was cost me $1,000 brand new. This is when it first came out. It was when sub-50 gram drones were really hot on the market coming out there. Mini 2s right now. This guy I bought for $180 off eBay. This is what all my students fly in my school. Why do you think I have them fly this guy? Cheap. Have fun. Get a tree? Scare the hell out of the birds. Did you get it on camera? And then cost of drone upkeep, blades, batteries. Every time I launch this guy, I don't have the case out. Every time I launch this guy, because I've flown so much, my batteries have now exceeded 200 cycles. And after 200 cycles, they'll tell you cycle limit count is approaching. Please purchase new batteries. Well, the internet will tell you that drones, the Mavic 3 Enterprise batteries have exceeded 300 cycles, still fly just fine. There's still a key consideration I need to start thinking about. Those batteries are about $200 each. So now I got to replace my whole set of 6. It's $1,200 if I'm buying them brand new. And that's a cost that I'm going to have to absorb as the pilot in command, or as the owner-operator. So upkeep, blades, sensors, even these little harnesses wore out. I've had one of these that is filled with the goo that kind of helps stabilize it. Burst open. I have no idea what substance got on me, but it was a lot and it was gross. We're purchasing additional peripherals. This guy has sensors that can get swapped out. We talked about the FLIR, which we walked out, so that has FLIR cameras. One of the cool things we do at North for marketing is we'll go to golf courses and we'll fly out with this little apparatus that sits on the belly of our M4. And depending on what we're doing for that round of marketing, usually we'll collect money for donations. And if you pay $200 towards the charity that the golf event is for, we'll fly the drone over there, hover it over the hole, and drop it there, and then they get to play from that hole. So it's really exciting when us as pilots end up getting the hole one. There's a bunch of drone executives that are just there, completely sunburned, and they're going crazy. I think the last time a guy rolled around on the floor, it's just a lot of fun, right? But it's a matter of use case, additional peripherals. We got to worry about training costs. I've been bugging this dude a whole lot. He's tired. He doesn't want to go anymore. So you got more training, man. You got more training. That's going to cost money. Whether it's an internal trainer for someone who's been doing it for a long time, or they bring out another school, or send them to CNM to get 107 license, that costs money. And asking your pilot to do that is just not fair. Or your future pilot, it's just not fair. The company should kind of look at that as the total cost of the program as a whole. We talked about operational costs and then risk management insurance. Take a wild guess how much insurance I have on this guy.
To protect it or to protect people that it's going to
Protect
To
anything that,
protect your
anything that,
liability.
that this drone can hurt, damage, maim, or otherwise.
Million, 2 million.
I heard 1 million, I heard 2 million, you guys see 2, or you're just throwing a peace sign?
2 million.
2 million. Any other guesses? Because those are pretty big numbers.
Max guess is 5 million.
Answer's $2 million. $2 million. Right? This guy most likely is not going to do that. You take off an ankle with this dude, if you will. You run into a set of antenna on a critical infrastructure inspection for some power. I guarantee AT&T will do that. Because they can't make those commercials because we can't hear them now. So as an organization, once you launch that drone, do you have enough coverage to satiate the potential damages your pilot may bring? So it's good consideration. Now, by addressing these subtopics, organizations can gain valuable insight into true costs and benefits of integrating drones into their operations, enabling informed decision-making and maximizing the value of their investments. Now, establishing standard operating guidelines, this is when we're talking about if you have someone who's a professional drone pilot work for your organization, congratulations, you hit the lottery, put them to work, have to draw your SOPs, because it can get expensive. I originally was sent to Drone U from my fire department to go get my flight mastery, get my aerial and video photography, as well as many other different items that were valuable for fire operations. But after I learned that, then they had me write all the programs and then train everyone. So that could be a point of interest for you guys if that's something that you guys want to, not for me, but sending some person out to be educated and they come back and fulfill that for your organization. But it's important, establishing standard operating guidelines for your organizations is a crucial step in ensuring the safe, effective, and efficient, effective integration of drones into your operation. These guidelines serve as a framework to standardize procedures, promote consistency, and mitigate risk associated with drone usage. By defining clear protocols and responsibilities, organizations can streamline operations, enhance accountability, and foster a culture of safety and compliance. Have you ever flown anyone who kind of cowboys that drone?
What?
Not you specifically. Have you worked with anyone who's cowboying while they're on the sticks?
No.
No?
All of our facilities, just a couple of them. So.
What about you? Anyone who just kind of just yeehaw in with that while they're flying?
I don't let anybody fly.
Ah, man. Like, good answer. He said, I don't let anyone fly my drone. For the gentleman who's asking if I could shoot him out, right? Like, there's people who do dumb things with drones. They just do.
Really?
Yeah, I know it's shocking, my friend. I know. I'm shocked. I'm glad you're sitting down before I said that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, people do dumb things with drones. Why? I don't know. Most of the time it's due to a lack of training.
Because they're human.
Because they're human, right? We all make mistakes. But when we're flying over, trying to get a picture of this handsome guy, we just don't want to do that. Now, suggested SOGs, right? Reporting requirements, detailing reporting requirements for various activities, including training flights, mission flights, accident reporting, maintenance logs, and pre-flight checks. As per FAA, we're supposed to keep a flight log. So whether it's a pilot, it's usually the pilot in command that's doing that. So decreeing that all pilots that are moving forward within your program, and have a notebook or some digital file that can sit there and record those flights. Why is that important? Well, someone says their pilot is somewhere where they're not. Well, now we have telemetry data and date times to help back that up. Pilot operation training capability, right? We want to outline pilot qualifications, including certifications, licenses, ongoing training requirements. Like I said, like a year recurring would probably be a good thing. And then also establish guidelines for recertification or continuing education to ensure pilots maintain proficiency. We need to make sure that some of those boxes are checked. Can't just hand the pilot a drone and think that that's it forever and ever again. Unless you're making smart obliques and you're pushing 4 buttons to launch that drone and you're sitting there just drinking your Kool-Aid when you're just having that big fly. But even still, once you have quick access to that controller in case something goes wrong.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Have you ever had like a flyway or anything kind of a little sideways?
No, not yet. But out of some pretty good wind, we can worry about it because we fly literally next to a solar field and whatnot. We've been okay so.
Sure. But I'm sure when that drone starts beeping or something, so it's probably says like strong wind or something like that, they'll keep your heart racing real quick if you're not used to it. Workflow guidelines, defining the intended workflow for pilots, including pre-flight preparation, mission execution, data collection, and post-flight procedures. You take, how many photos you say you take for that flight?
11,000.
11,000 photos. Who's collecting that? Who's cataloging it? Who's processing that data? You guys probably have the thing that processes it automatically, right? Do you guys keep raws just in case?
Keep what?
The raw data? The 11,000?
Yeah.
Okay.
We keep it, we actually, our headquarters up in Denver, we get it for them.
So I assume you guys,
It is 3D.
you upload them?
Yeah.
So it takes probably what, half a day, 8 hours at least?
Takes over a day.
A day to upload 11,000 photos to whoever's processed that. Right? What's the procedure for that? Does he need to keep, so like say that there's something that happened, lost in transit, servers went down. Pilot, you've done a great job. By chance you have all that data from 2 weeks ago. Yeah, right? Now we have, that's why we have to ask that question. What is that continuity of care with those assets going to look like? I personally, because I come from a film production background, whenever I work with clients, I keep us for a year and then I keep finished to produce content for 2 years. After that, if the client hasn't asked them for me, if there hasn't been any kind of repurposing of old footage, it just goes away to the dodo. So those are some considerations that could happen. I mean, I'm sure it sounds like you guys are going to be successful, but there's always that what if. And then, again, we're defining that workflow. When we get here, we fill out the report, we call in, hey, we're going to launch, yada, yada, calling in my launch time. And then you fly a particular set of operations. I want to look at mushroom 1, I want to look at mushroom 2, I want to look at mushroom 3. Then I'm going to come back here, and once I land it, I'm calling whoever the next person in charge, hey, I landed at 16:55. And then you call it good. Accident reporting procedures. We want to establish clear procedures for reporting accidents or incidents involving drones, including documentation requirements, discussion investigating, and remediation. We have that cowboy pilot who has crashed every drone he has launched, at least at some point in time, his time tenure with it. Well, he needs to go through training again, or we're pulling him off the drone. It's as simple as that. There sometimes has to make that hard line despite all that money that you put into them. But is it worth having to buy more drones or just putting someone else in his place and getting them trained up? And let's see, I think we're kind of nearing the end. Let's see. And then I think I've talked about training. I want to kind of leave some room for some questions, but there's more SOGs. If any of you guys want to see this PowerPoint, grab my card and send me an email and I'll send it to you guys again. I don't like to gatekeep information. But with that, let's go ahead and kind of just buzz right through it. This is just kind of more of some of those dynamics that we're talking about and what the future of drones are going to be. Do we have any questions for anyone that's here? Anything that I can answer? What you got, John?
How long does it take to get certified, and how expensive is that process, including enter a test like the CDL test?
Good question. She asked, how long does it take to get through the process of become 107 pilot, and is there a test similar to something like the CDL? Yes, that last question, there is a test at your Part 107 test. You usually take it at a testing center. They take everything out of your pant pockets, lock it up, and then from there you have to go into a little room all by yourself to make sure you don't cheat. The process to go through the class is basically up to you. There's all the content's online via FAA, but there's a lot of online portals that will test the content, that will walk you through all the content. There's schools like mine, which do in-person or virtual classes where we go through each of those sections and a trainer can answer the questions directly. I was actually hired last week to rush someone's future pilot through the 107 progress. I got them on Monday, we signed them up to test Friday, and she passed with the 77. So, C's get degrees, that's right. What do you call a doctor that gets a C? Doctor.
Would that test it, then it hands-on test?
Oh, good question. I'm glad you brought that up. So here's the truth of the matter. You could have never touched a drone in your life and still pass the 107 because it has nothing to do with how to fly a drone. It's all about flying within that airspace. So good question. I hope I answered it for you. Anyone else before we kind of wrap it up and we call it a good day?
All term AI, that's something to be more.
Yeah, so AI, machine learning, and sensor functions. Yeah, AI assisted secondary search software that's out there. Locate was one of the biggest ones that was going to make a wave in the search and rescue community. What it would do is it would take photogrammetry or orthomosaic data, and based off of like the gender and age of the person, they would go through color swatches that would be associated with them, and mark hot spots all over big ortho and say, this is a point of interest, that's a point of interest, that's a point of interest. And so the drone, the pilots would then go back out there, collect those POIs and say false positive, and then it retrains the system to either go through a different palette spot or to say like, well, something I was unsure about here, but we said that that was jacket, so I'm pretty sure we have clothing right here. And they'll mark the next round with new POIs. So it's all pretty cool stuff. Anyone else? Before we got 1 minute, I'll just let you guys go, and then I'll be up here if you guys have any questions or if you guys want to ask me further. But you guys have been great. Thank you guys for laughing. This is 30.
Yeah. I can buy. For 40 minutes. I want to hear you. I know, but it's going to be that's so good.
Expire, but every 2 years.
It works.
She did.
I know. I'm gonna check it. Well, that's not my thought. It was practice. We left. That's about 10 minutes. It's for tomorrow.
First time and work. Yeah.
You get up on the scan? It's just such a weird thing already.
You don't have insurance. Yeah, I wrote down some things. Which I mean, I'm sure we're getting those. That over in training, like at least but yeah, there's a lot of stuff that I was like, I had no idea. Even she's been stuck in traffic.
Yeah, give me your card, and I'll reach out to you. The company I work for, or community instructions and church solution. So I'll have one reach out to you, okay? Gentlemen, thank you guys for listening. Good question. Okay, so the second that you utilize a drone for commercial purposes, you have to have a separate license. So even if you don't collect a dollar,
Can I test your?
for a commercial purpose, you have to have one separate license. Because even obviously, if you use a trust cert, They can go out to an FAA regulated airspace for who are hobbyists, and then they can fly these big boys all day long. Without a license, they have to have a trust certification, it's an online, like, test on that, but it's, yeah.
No, it's possible they had
Yeah.
we were flying it for them.
Yeah, so the weight limit is not whether you got registered the drone or yourself. So after 250 grams, you have to register your, the drone. If it's under 250, you just need to register. So that's where that weight limit comes into play. Yep. Good question. I appreciate you guys. You guys had a lot of fun. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. How can I help you guys? I just want to grab your card. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Oh, you guys had a good time. Yes, it was great. You're great. Say no more while the camera goes. Yeah.
So I misheard you when you said the online site, and I thought you said mine.
I'm wondering
But I did, whenever I was
talking
flying.
about.
It's hers. I know. I was wondering if I wanted to ask you. I don't know. The one you said that you didn't want
Attached gamma thermometers, which are basically like Geiger counters.
Yeah.
Specialist crystals. Flew them about 10 meters over the surface, you know, on a constant like pre-programmed flight after building a digital surface model with just like your regular lens. And then it gave them ability to correlate to radiant content in the soil. So I thought it was a pretty cool project. Another time I was flying LiDAR sensors for a construction project in California, and this is where I get to some fun crash stories, which is, have you ever run into like high voltage transmission lines, like electromagnetic interference?
Yeah. We'll get a lot of our interference.
So that's what happened to me as I was flying around the A-frames, and that's again goes to the insurance question, because I ran into one of those A-frame, you know, big, I don't know, whether they're 40 or whatever they are. They're like the big ones that buzz and you're standing underneath them.
Yeah.
You got so much power going through them. And it just crapped out, you know, somewhere along the lines, my visual observer had no sight on it. So we ended up spending the rest of the night looking for the drone.
Oh, no.
We ended up finding it at like a cracked tube arm like this. There's a Matrix 600, so it's like a 6-copter.
Yep.
And then we got a replacement drone because we could go crack tube arm, and the replacement drone got attacked by a red tail hawk. So, you know, there's like this single frame where there's like this weed in front of the sensor. And we're like, what happened? Today we go and get our control points out for that project. Next day we get another replacement drone. We're going to fly.
My gosh.
Replacement wildfire. Yeah, there's like a wildfire, so like a little brush fire. So nothing goes to our control points.
Do you guys still have any of that imagery? Because I assume that you guys effectively put together a heat map of whatever radar you guys were detecting.
Yeah,
Do you still have any of that?
It's
I would love to
actually
see it.
publicly published. It was when I was a permanent consultant, so
Okay.
I don't have any of it on hand. But if you look up Jack Pyle Pilati on site, as far as I understand, it was the first approved EPA approved data collection with a drone, because they were really anti for a while.
Sure, yeah.
And that was the other thing I was going to ask you about, is that do you ever, when you're going into a community, sometimes it seems like you're using it to access rural places, so you don't have to worry about it too much. But whenever you're going into a community, do you ever have to give people, like, do a little bit of outreach so that people don't distrust the organization that's flying the drones?
That's a very good question. And because we'll have to fly in a lot of reservations.
Right.
And
You get the guy who wants to shoot you down.
yeah, exactly. So, you know, I'm always about building good relationships. Even if you're only going to fly there once, you never think you're going to go there again.
Right.
The second that you have to, and you've done pissed off everyone, and now every time you pass that village or whatever, it says no drone photography, right?
Right.
That was because of you.
Yeah.
So I'm always about building bridges, and you know, it's one of those things where there's always that risk of getting shut out. But I think if there's enough courtesy that's lended over time, that starts to wane that resistance. Yeah.
You know, whenever we were out, because we were flying on a lagoon reservation, and close to a nearby village, and close enough for some of the passes that you can see it from people's residences.
and then you have that backing of the whatever organization or community that you have. I got reached out to by a private defense company that wanted to, that as a whole, they wanted to start implementing like drone surveys in the area or like flight control because it's just a more wealthy area that wanted to implement a lot of key security things. But the fact that private defense was going to handle that. And so they're trying to figure out how do we deal with that because this is a very private community. A lot of you go in and services that they provide. So I helped them build out an outreach program. They have a community center, so they talking ways. I didn't do any teaching development part of that organization, but I do all the important pertinence that you get delivered are disseminated to the community, and it was very well received. It sounds very similar to something you did. Yeah, diplomacy will go a lot further than people think, and I think that's where the FAA is really frustrated because rather than pilots doing the right thing, having a code for the organization or airspace operations, they're kind of just going, I'm never going to be here again. It's just because, and it's like those one incidents that pile up after a long time. So, no, good forethought. I mean, please reach out to me
I'll give you.
Yeah, if you got a card, that would be great.
So I'm with the state now, and I'm a compliance officer, like an operating administrator too. So
Perfect.
I've been out on a couple of different sites. You can show me my card, and something else is attached.
I love it.
I find some utility because for personal safety, one, we're out there doing the inspections usually alone or with a representative water system, and for things like a water tower, is there a lock on that? I'll bring my binoculars into the field and be like, ISO, and then what I don't love about it is that because I can't visually define the type of condition of the top of the tank or whether or not there's a lock or overflow valve and that kind of stuff. I have to get the system to climb up there and take a picture. I can't do it, but I need to make sure that it's there, and so I have an option to make them do it. And I don't feel super great about because I just know what their safety protocol is.
Yeah.
I'm putting somebody in harm's way to some degree. And so that's why I'm talking with the Bureau Chief to see whether or not we might be able to send qualified and Part 107 operators up. It does bring up a question in terms of blanket insurance for drones versus mission specific insurance. And I'm curious if you have any perspectives in terms of how many use cases for a drone before it starts to make sense to just in the same way you're renting it versus purchasing one.
Yeah.
How many times do you want to use that drone before it makes sense to just insure it for specific mission?
And see, and I think that's a really good question. I'm always a bigger fan to do just overall good insurance, specifically because once you start involving in incorporating training, that doesn't look specific in any way because it could be training at HQ, training for something that we're looking to try to get into to beta test a few ideas or sensors, and then that goes down. Right? So I think blanketing allows operations to run a little smoother, a little faster. Because especially my line of work with critical infrastructure inspections, right? We're doing TIAs in Sonoma County, California. So I was out there flying that stuff, and now we're in a whole new district. Our flight operations are different. Flight workers are making a difference. And so we could very much well be denied by the insurance if they well, that's not what you usually do. That's not what this is built for.
I see. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but if you could absorb the cost, I think it's just better. Yeah, I think it's just better overall. And then as far as I think if your organization can swing it,
And I think you can kind of insure the drone to multiple operators, right?
yeah, we're usually just within the organization. Yeah, for my school, I have it insured. I have lead instructors and students.
So it's all the above.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's good.
Does that make sense? Yeah, I love it. And you sound like a very incredibly capable individual, so that's kind of one of the things that I was talking about, right? People like you are worth making.
I
story.
You've been an absolute pleasure. I love classes like this and just like to have fun.
Yeah.
I'd like to shake your hand one more time. I hope to talk to you in the future.
Yeah,
Whatever you got going on.
We'll probably reach out because you're local, right?
Yes, sir.
New Mexico. So we have an all hands for compliance and enforcement. It's going to be next week. It's going to be something positive.
Okay.
We'll see where it goes from there. I'm sure there'll be like a little bit of institutional kind of insecurity or insurance about the prospect, but there's an interest from a couple of different parties. So
Good.
as we get to train more people, I haven't flown commercially for the last 4 years, so I've got to research and all that stuff. So we'll be in touch.
Yeah, perfect. I love it.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Oh, I don't think I talked the entire time. Is that not going? Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Oh gosh, I had that off the entire time. Test 1, 2, test 1, 2. Should check that. Hello.